hopefully. All right, so today I will take you briefly through what we did in the last class. Then I will complete the notes for lesson 1 or module 1. And I'm sure we may not have enough time to start lesson 2, so that will be in our next class. So we are still on module 1, and then we complete it, and then we move on. Okay, so by the end of this lesson, it is expected of you as students to be able to define what ICT is, advantages and disadvantages, and implication of using ICT in education. So this will be with reference to the teaching of basic science in the lower secondary school, okay? And then you should be able to get some insight into computers and components of computers. Perhaps you should be able to identify them as well and see how things will roll on, okay? Information and communication. This first part of the lesson is, we have done it already, so but I will still make a kind of recap so that you have a comprehensive information in front of you. Okay, so in our last class, we defined ICT to be information and communications technology. There are various meanings to this. So some people call it information and communication without S, technology. While some people, they put S, and instead of technology, they write technologies. So in any case, ICT involves the use of computers and other related devices to do basic operations, to gather data, to process data, to store data, protect data, and as well as to transfer data. Okay, so it encompasses tools like television, radio, telephone, internet, and other technologies for communication, even social medias and the likes. All right. And then can also distinguishes between data and information. In our last class, we mentioned that data is nothing but raw material that has not been processed, or raw. When it is processed, then it becomes information. Okay. So we also highlighted some benefits of ICT in our last class, like for instance, increased engagement, and then access to information, and then improved communication, and then flexibility, so and then personalized learning. So all these were mentioned and were as well discussed in our last class. So these are not new to you. All right. And again, other benefit that we also mentioned are the enhanced assessment, or I mean, when you use ICT, it can help you in being efficient in your formative or your summative assessment. And also efficiency and cost saving, increased access to education, digital literacy, and teacher pedagogical skills. So when you incorporate ICT in your teaching and learning process, in your teaching as teachers, then your skills can also be improved. Okay? Yeah. I can see some messages in the chat. Let me pause a little bit to know what you have put there. Okay, some people are making some comment that they don't hear anything. What do you say? Do you hear me now or not yet?
We are hearing you, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Because I can see some messages in the chat that they don't hear anything. So perhaps it has to do with problems from their end. But I think the audio is fine. Yeah? Good.
Enter to Bluetooth.
Okay. 1 minute. Where is this line coming from?
Bluetooth.
Okay. To continue, we also mentioned some disadvantages of ICT in our last class. Perhaps I will kick some people out if they refuse to mute themselves. Okay. So to proceed, we also mentioned as the advantage of ICT in our last class, cyber bullying. There can be some people who are bullying others online. And then we also mentioned that there could be distraction. So like what we said, that ICT can lead to distraction. And we can also have addiction as another disadvantage of using ICT. Okay, it can also reduce face-to-face interaction. So these kind of disadvantages that we mentioned in our last class, I'm reviewing this so that you have appropriate information about what we discussed. Okay. So again, we also mentioned in our last class as the advantage of using ICT, dependence on technology, technological issues, limited scope of learning, and the limited interactions with teachers. And we also reviewed some issues regarding to the implications of using ICT. Like as teachers, you need to incorporate yourself with new skills, okay, when you are incorporating ICT in your teaching and learning process. At the same time, you need to improve your professional engagement in terms of attending conferences or going for workshops on how to incorporate technology into your teaching. Another implication of using ICT is that teachers need to utilize it to encourage creativity and innovation in the teaching and learning process. Okay? Yeah. Still again on the implication of using ICT is the fact that it encourages creativity and then it improves innovation in our learning process. Now, this is where we stop. We started a little bit on computers last class, but we are taking that afresh now. But before we proceed, I'm giving you some things to look at. Kindly unmute yourself. I think there is a disturbance, maybe from Hajara Sanusi Aliyu. Unmute yourself. Mute yourself. Yeah. So look at these questions. Everybody take a moment. Then look at these questions. Define ICT and explain 5 of its key characteristics. Define ICT and explain 5 of its key components. So this is another question could be discuss the impact of Ajara Sanusi, mute yourself. Hajara Sanusi Aliyu. Okay, thank you. So another question you can look at is, can you discuss the impact of ICT on student engagement and motivation in the learning process, where you have to provide examples of how ICT can make learning more interactive? Another question, analyze the ways in which ICT tools can enhance communication and collaboration among students and teachers. Provide specific examples on how these tools are utilized. Examine the potential costs associated with implementing and maintaining ICT in educational institutions. How can this cost be mitigated or justified? Hajara, you again, can you mute yourself? Okay, another question we can look at is explore the issue of addiction resulting from the overuse of technology. How can educators promote healthy technology use among students? I think the last one here is elaborate on the new pedagogical skills that teachers need to develop in the era of ICT. How do these skills contribute to effective technology integration in the classroom? Are you okay with this? So these are questions. So I'm going to pause a little bit and I will give you 2 minutes to look at these questions on your own. You are not going to answer them now, but these questions can help you to think through the lesson before we move down to the second section of the class. So I'm giving you 2 minutes to look at these questions, okay?
To ya za a ki bidiyo hawa? Za a yi bidiyo. A dinga ganin shi. Ina nake ganin shi kin je kin samu.
It is an opportunity to
Shi ne
really
nace ɗamin wayanki in kira Musa. Amma
Hajara, you
zan
again.
kira shi in ce wahala be like bicycle.
You just stop making noise, I beg.
Okay, I think you have used up your 2 minutes, so we can proceed with the lesson. All right, so as a continuation of the lesson, we talk about the computer and its components. Okay, computer and its components. So what do we really mean here? I want to believe you guys are hearing what I'm saying, because I'm seeing some comments about not hearing. You can unmute yourself and answer my question when I ask one.
We can hear you, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So computer and its components. So this is our main topic of today. And then we shall run through this in, I think, 17 slides or thereabout. So here, we have to go gently now. So what is a computer? Or how can you define a computer? There are so many ways through which you can define a computer. However, this definition I put here, it's enough. A computer is a device capable of processing, storing, and retrieving data under the control of instruction known as programming. Okay, something came up in this definition. The very first thing that came up are the keywords: processing, storing, and retrieving data. These are important keywords that you should take note. Processing, storing, and retrieving. Whenever you're given a definition of computer in exam or test, at least these keywords should be there. A computer is a device capable of processing, storing, and retrieving what? Data. And then when it processes the data, store the data, and you want to retrieve the data, you get information. So data that has been processed is what we call information. Okay. For those disturbing us, I think it is time now to send them out of this place. Okay, good. So that user is gone. All right. As a continuation of this definition, we're analyzing this definition. And that is the fact that apart from these keywords, then we also have programs appearing here. That apart from the fact that computer is a device that process, store, and retrieve data, then it works under a set of instructions, which we call what? Programs. So computers work under instructions, and the set of instructions under which computer process, store, and retrieve data is what we call programs. I also have a better definition for program. Usually it resides within the computer and are retrieved and processed by computer electronics for the programs. So the programs, the program results are stored or routed to output devices, such as the video display monitors or the printers. And when we talk about computer, basically, its characteristics can be grouped into two. We are going to explore these characteristics later on. So the first group being that computer responds to specific what? Instructions. And these specific instructions are the programs. And apart from responding to this instruction, they also execute a recorded list of instructions. Okay, so these are the basic groups or categories of computer. Yeah, these are the basic categories or characteristics which we can group the characteristics of a computer: responding to specific instruction and executing pre-recorded list of instruction. Okay, fine. So still on this, it is important for us to make a difference or a distinction between digital and analog computers. Digital and analog computers. So digital and analog computers are two types of computing devices that define in way or how they represent and process data. And this here, it gives you a more comprehensive distinction, or let me call it a kind of contrast between digital computers and the analog computers. I must make a note here. This particular table is not in your note. It's not in the lesson note I sent to you. So you have to take this with care. So in the note I sent to you, when I made a distinction between digital and analog computer, it was just like some few lines. But here you have a more robust distinctions between the digital and analog computers. So for digital computer, they use binary code, which is 0 and 1s. And while for analog, they use continuous scales. And again, for digital computer is programmable. You can program it. You can let it work under pre-recorded instruction. While for analog, it is not done that way. So for digital computer, they can store large amounts of data and you can easily retrieve them so fast. While for analog, it has limited capacity and it is slow in terms of the processing speed. For digital, they are more precise and accurate. And at the same time, some examples of digital computers, you can talk about the personal computer, the smartphone, the supercomputers, and so on. While examples of analog computers could be your slide rule. I think for those of you who did physics in secondary school, you might have come across slide rules. They also have this astrolabe. For this astrolabe is an ancient tool for astronomical calculation. This astrolabe is an ancient tool for astronomical calculations. So they used to use in the olden days. They also have the mechanical calculators. For those of you who has been through this process, you might have come across mechanical calculators and stuff like that. So this is what we talk about, the contrast. And a kind of keyword that you can take home from here is, I can ask you to juxtapose between digital and analog computer. When I say juxtapose, what I mean is that you should place it side by side, look at the contrast between the two of them. Take note of that keyword. Okay, so, and what about the components of computers? So we can start with the CPU, which I'm very sure even for kids in primary school now, they are introduced to these kind of things, like the CPU, the brain of the computer. Some people call it like that. Why do they call it the brain? Because it is thinking capacity with this thinking house of the computer. So that's why they call it the brain of the computer. And it's responsible for executing instructions. Now, instructions here, they are what? Programs. So responsible for executing instructions and controlling other components of the system. Another thing to talk about in the component is that of RAM, okay? So random access memory, okay? So temporary storage for data currently in use or processing is for temporary storage, and it enables quick access to this data, okay? Then you have bigger storage like the permanent data storage using hard disk. So hard disk drive or solid state drive. Most of these computers you have in front of you, they are hard disk enabled, while some they are solid state enabled. And we talk about the motherboard. This is another component of the computer, all right, the motherboard. So main circuit board connecting the CPU, memory, storage, and other components. So these are some kind of component of the computers we talk about. We still have more, which I'm going to introduce to you in the subsequent slides. So more on this, we have the power supply. So this is a kind of peripheral part of the computer. So where it's used for converting alternate current to direct current. So the alternate current is the one that you put through your socket, and then this is converted to direct current. And it depends as well. Maybe I use let's make a bit noise again. Grab you. Okay. Yeah, I think there is no longer warning. If you are caught making a disturbance, then you'll be kicked out of the class. Okay, so be careful about that. So our power supply is I was talking about direct and alternate current. So the direct current, they are the one that it is provided by the Kaduna Electric. But when you put on your generator, you have the alternate current. So this alternate current is usually converted to direct current using the power supply. Then it regulates the voltage and prevent damage to your computers. Okay, good. Another component of the computer we can talk about is that of the input and output devices. We're going to have a section on this shortly. So this allows user computer interaction like the keyboard, the mouse, okay? And then it enables communication with other devices like the USB port, the external ports, the printers, the output. So we also have as another component of the computer, the graphic card, or we call it GPU. So this is a specialized processor for handling some kind of 3D graphics, games, and some displays on your computers. And we also have the expansion slots and the card slots, so where you input some like your memory or your flash drive or this kind of sound card or so many other peripheral you can attach to your computer. The holes in between your computers through which you can attach this thing, we call them the expansion slot, plus slot, and the cards. They also have the cooling system. So you know when you are using your computer, you can be hearing some sound like a fan that is making a cooling in the computer. This is very common when you are using the desktop computer. If you go to the CPU at the back, you will even see the fan. But in laptops or stuff like that, the fan is embedded in the computer. Though it is, you can even hear the sound, but you may not be able to see it. So this is necessary to dissipate heat generated by computer component, and at the same time, it fans and make it easier for you to use. Okay. So while we have some diagrams here that will help you, though maybe not like the kind of help you want, but you have the devices like the keyboard, the cameras, the mouse, and the speaker. We also have some devices like the hard disk, the floppy disk, the flash drive, and so on. We also have some devices like the printer, the speakers, and the monitor for the output. And then you have the sound card, the motherboards, okay, the RAM, random access memory, the CPU, and then the expansion card, and so on. So this is some kind of things that will help you when you think about these components. Okay. Now again, we're pausing now a little bit, and then we move to the next section on types of computers. What are the different types of computers you can think of? So we have the mainframe computers. Mainframe. Actually, we used to say this anyway, but maybe we can come across it as time goes on in this class, in this course. So mainframes are designed for intensive computational tasks. They are often shared by multiple users via terminals. And we have supercomputers among them, purely used in applied and complex computations. This can find them in some top research institutes. Okay, the other types, another set of computers we can talk about, they are the mini computers and the mid-sized multiprocessing computer. This can support up to 200 users simultaneously. I think for the mainframe, it can support more than that, maybe unlimited, depending on the bandwidth. Then this mini though in recent computers, the distinction between mini computers and some kind of small mainframe is becoming blurred now, because now most mini computers, they are doing what some mainframe computers can do. We have the workstations. So these are powerful single user computers. So like your desktop computer, it's a single user. So linked to form a local area network. Maybe you have been to a cafe. I think cafe is becoming less popular now. In those days, we used to have cafe where you go there to register for your WAEC, or to register for your JAM, or to do something, or to check your email. You know, in those days, cafe were very popular, and it was a big business then. I think now it is becoming old-fashioned, because most people with their phone now, they can do a lot of things that they're supposed to do in the cafe. So they don't have business going to the cafe any longer. So there are still some analog among you guys that still go to North Gate or Main Gate to do your course form registration and stuff, like things that you can do on your phone, okay? So when you're having a cafe, a small cafe like that, then you can link your computers together using a local area network. We shall talk about this network, I think, in our next class under telecommunication. Then workstation, they are ideal for tasks requiring high quality graphics and substantial memory. Then also we have the personal computers. So some people call it microcomputers, or you can even call it workstation as well. They're also small size, only for single user, and desktop and laptop, they fall into this category, and they are used for various tasks. You can do word processing, you can do accounting, you can do presentations, you can do this kind of class using your computer. Now I'm using my computer for this lesson. So we also have the tablet and the phone. For some of you have tablets, for some of you have smartphone, and for some of you have Nokia phone. Okay, it's fine, no problem. So anyone that have you are still using a computer, and they are pocket-friendly computers, you can put it in your pocket. They're also powerful. Some smartphones now, they even have more capability than some laptops. Okay, and they are used for a wide range of applications. You can use for so many things depending on your choice. So I think we are done with the types of computer. So we move straight to characteristics of computers. Remember in previously, I mentioned that the whole of computer, the characteristics of computers can be grouped into two. responding to instructions, and then processing pre-recorded instruction. So we can now, from these two, we can now break into pieces, and then we have series of characteristics of computers, in which the first of them is the word length. What do you mean by the word length? So this, for digital computer this time around, because that is the basic computers everybody work with, they work with binary digits, zeros and one. All these displays you are seeing, this PowerPoint I'm making for this presentation, the way that you hear my voice, the way that you see my face in the video, okay? So they are all being operated on basic numbers, zeros and ones, binary. And with these zeros and ones, we can get anything out of it by programming your computer. So we have zero and ones, the word length, and then the bits, the binary digits. And also about the bytes. So the byte is 8 bits. Okay, bit is 0 and 1, and 8 of them makes what? A byte. So in your computer, when you're buying a new laptop or you're buying a new workstation, you hear, is it 8 bits or 16 bits or 32 bits or 64 bits? These are all talking about how much words or how much can your computer process at the same time. So 64-bit, I think, is the highest for them. Maybe 128 is coming very soon. So we also have the speed of the computer. It's another characteristic of the computer. And this speed, it varies from one computing to another. It varies from whether it is supercomputer or it is mainframe computer or the likes. Okay, so supercomputers, for instance, they operate at a very high speed, nano speed or pico speed. They are much more faster than your workstation on your laptop. Then for the memory, computer also varies in memory, the capacity, the amount of things that your computer can store. Your phone can store some amount of information. When you're having too much videos on your phone, you'll be hearing memory full. And in fact, you may not be able to do much things on your phone again. You have to free some memory. So it's about the storage capability of the computer. Okay, and then the accuracy is another property of the computer. High accuracy is very, very important in computing. So it must be accurate. And then human errors are more common than the technological errors or flaws. So in computer, we have a high accuracy than that of human calculations. Okay, then some other characteristics of computers, we talk about the versatility. How versatile can it perform a wide range of tasks simultaneously? Can it make some tasks reducible to logical steps? Yes, this is the kind of characteristic of the computer. They can break a complex task into logical and small steps. Then we also have automation. You can automate your computer. Like this presentation you see, I automated it. So by just making a point or a click, then it moves to the next line, bringing it to you, hiding the the subsequent one. So this kind of automation. You can automate a computer to do a lot of things for you while you go to sleep. So this is another characteristic of a computer, automation. Then diligence, of course. Computer is very consistent in giving you the same outcome under the same instruction. Constant and earnest in effort and application, free from human weakness. So connectivity, of course, you can also connect computers from one point to another. Like all of you now, perhaps you are in different locations, or some of you were together, while I'm also in a different location from you, but we can be connected together. This is the power of computing. And this is a good characteristic of computer. Okay, still on the characteristics is programmability. You can program a computer. You can tell a computer to perform some tasks using instructions, which are programs. Then you can also utilize several programming languages. So we have the Java, you have the C++, C++, and then there's so many object-oriented programming languages, and so on and so forth. Okay, now people are programming using artificial intelligence and stuff like that. Okay, then we also have the input and output capability. Computer can take some instruction and they also display some information for you. And computer can actually multitask. Video, audio, text, at the same time you are taking the three. video, audio, and text. This is what we call multitasking. Ability to perform multiple tasks simultaneously. Then, of course, computer is also user-friendly. You can see some colors, you can see some videos, you can see some lines, you can see bold, you can see, because this is user-friendly. It is appealing. You can make a lot of graphics of this. So interface such as the graphic user interface make it easy for you to move from one end to another. So now, scalability, of course, you can move up and down, you can expand, you can make it small. And then at this point, I'm going to pause a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to pause a little bit. Then we talk about the hardware and the software. Now there's going to be an activity. Listen, everybody, there's going to be an activity. So in your group, I'm going to group you guys. And then in your group, you need to jot down 2 hardware and then 2 software. Write down 2 hardware and then 2 software, and then their uses. Computer hardware and computer software. 2 examples and their uses. So let me put the question in the chat now. Write down 2 examples of hardware and software each, and their uses. Okay, so after the activity, which I'm going to give you some minutes, after the activity, then I will call each member from each group, or I will call some members from each group, or you can nominate, if you like, in your group, you can nominate somebody that will speak for you. But I will call one person from each group to make comments. Is that understood? If you check the chart, it says write down 2 examples of hardware and software each and their uses. So after the activity, I'm going to group you now. After the activity, then I will call upon one person from each room or from each group to make a presentation, to just tell us what you have written down or what you have discussed in your group. So let's get it done. Let's get this done. Breakout rooms. So, and then again, I must mention that it is a responsibility when you are assigned to a group, it is a responsibility to join the group that you are assigned to. This is very important. Join the group and participate in the group discussion. Good. Now 40, let's create 8 rooms. Okay, so now bye-bye to your room.
Hello, Mohammed. Who's speaking? Hello.
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, for the software,
Okay.
we have operating system.
We have what?
We have operating system
Operating
software,
system.
which is also called the utility software. These are lists of instructions that keeps the system functioning. It consists of several programs which works together. The example we have operating system, that's the OS, and it is resided inside it is resided inside an hardware
Hello, I
without
don't
the
understand
human
what's going on
intervention.
here.
So example of operating system we have Microsoft Disk operating system, that's the MS-DOS, and we have Windows, we have Unix, we have OXI1 and OX2.
Did
Are
you
you
not
there?
get that? Yes, I'm there. I can hear you. Alihan, can you please mute your mic? You are disturbing us.
Wait, Mohammed.
Okay.
So are
Maybe,
you
sorry.
there? For the other one, we have
Application
Cow?
application software.
Cow?
Yes,
And
I
what
can
is
hear you.
application? Mohammed, are
Yes,
you with me?
keep on now. I'm with you. Just keep
So
talking.
we have
I'm hearing say application
application
software.
software. So this is the
Yes.
collection of programs that carry out giving tasks for the user. They are programs that perform activities specified by the user himself. They are also used to solve particular problems such as
Okay, sorry,
particular job.
you are now
That's
in
where
the
we have
main
the
group.
word processing, the Microsoft Word, Perfect, Microsoft Excel, spreadsheet, and database, graphics. You understand? Those are what we use for application. Like Microsoft Word, we know it is used for typing. And our spreadsheet is used for when you want to deal with calculations of tables, using tables. Then the
So listen,
graphics we designing, as we all know. As we all know. Then we have the communication and so on and so forth. That's it.
okay, I think we are back to the main class now.
Now you are in the main class now.
Okay.
So
Do you get what I said?
Okay. Yes, I get
So
a
who's
little, but
doing the
just keep quiet and listen
presentation?
to the lecturer. Yeah, Latifa, she will do.
Okay, Latifa will be
Okay.
the one doing the presentation, but
Ali, you
Has
said what?
she asked us
you'll
to
be the
do?
one to
Okay, are we
present
going to
now, right?
present it to the
No, I think we
lecturer?
should listen to the lecturer.
Yes, now he said one
Yeah,
person
no,
should
listen.
present.
your activity
Okay.
is over
Yeah, so Latifa will do it.
Okay,
and
let me
you are in
listen.
the main class.
All right now.
Okay, no problem.
So you can just mute yourself. Latifa, thank you. Okay, I think now we have a decorum a little bit. So I want to believe now that you should see my screen. I want to believe now that you should see my screen. Did you?
So we are not seeing the screen, sir.
Okay, now you should see it now.
No,
Yes?
sir, we are yet to see that.
Yes, we are seeing it, sir.
Good. Okay, now so be quiet and then let's proceed. In the short activities, you were told to write down two software and two examples of software and two examples of hardware and how you can use these examples of software and hardware. Okay, so I'm calling on room 1. So who is a representative for room 1? Who is representing room 1? You have to unmute yourself before you speak so that we hear you. Or better still, I think it would be easier if I stop this screen. so that I can see you. Yeah. Then I have a gallery view. Okay, now, yeah, room 1. Unmute yourself and speak your example and then how you can use your examples. Room 1 is not ready.
Can you hear me?
Yes, okay, speak louder a bit.
Okay, sir. The examples of hardware, 2 of them, we have the monitor, and then we have the keyboard. So now the use of the keyboard is send a command and instruction to center to the command. While
We can't hear him.
I can also hear you faintly. You need to speak louder, or perhaps your network is not strong
We
enough
can't
to
hear
get you.
him. He's not audible.
Can you speak louder, David?
Sir, we can't hear him.
So I'm saying that basically the 2 examples of hardware, I said the keyboard is one of them, and then the monitor. So the keyboard sends instruction to the central processing unit for typing, and sends commands to central processing unit. And then we have the monitor is used to display and images. And then
Okay, thank you. I heard
software. Examples of the software we have is the system.
board as example of the hardware, but I couldn't get the examples you mentioned for. So David, you can just type it. You can type what you have. David, are you there? You can just type what you have in the chat. Then we go to room 2. To save our time. Room 2. Who is speaking for room 2? Who is speaking for room 2? Who is speaking for room 2? Unmute yourself and talk. Room 2 is not ready.
Excuse sir.
Yes.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
For the hardware, we have like mouse, which is used to move cursor, select object, and move buttons. And the number 2, we have like keyboard, which is used to insert words.
Excellent. Yep. What
Yes.
about the software?
And then for the software, we have like animations, which is used to entertain people's, or like PowerPoint also. It's a software device. Yes. Or like Microsoft software, Excel.
Microsoft software. No, you
Yes.
just need.
Which is also used to insert the words also there.
Okay, thank you. Room 3, please. Let's go to room 3 first. Room 3. You need to unmute yourself. You want to speak. Room 3. Fatima, are you speaking for room 3?
Mama Bello, please go forward.
Good morning, sir.
Good
So
morning.
for the hardware, we have hard drive, which is used to store all digital content, and we have printers, used to print out important documents.
Yep.
So for the software, we have word processors. They are used to create and edit and also print out some documents. Then we have graphic software, which allows designers edit and resize images.
So what example of graphic software? What example of graphic software are you given?
That should be all these apps we use in editing some images, like
Like what?
I can't really give a
Correct draw is
specific
there, and
example.
yeah, correct draw is there. That is a good example of designing, and some other one. Okay, now yes, the room 4, a representative from room 4.
SLB representative group 4.
Good, go ahead.
Okay, so the example of hardware that we have are central processing unit and graphics processing unit. And the central processing
Say that
unit
again.
is,
Graphic processing unit.
yes, at the GPU, sir. So the central processing unit is used in as the brain of the computer in executing instructions and performing calculations. It is essential for running applications and managing overall system functionality. While the graphics processing unit specializes in rendering graphics and are crucial for tasks like gaming, video editing, and complex visual simulations.
Yep, software.
Okay, in the software, we have the Microsoft Word and the Adobe Photoshop. Well, the word processing software for creating, editing, and formatting documents, that's the use of Microsoft Word, and it is widely used for various writing tasks in business, education, and personal use as well.
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I'll go to room 5. Who is speaking for room 5?
Good morning, sir. Oh, good day, sir. I'll be speaking on behalf of room 5.
Go ahead.
Okay, for the hardware components, it is classified into 2. We have the internal, that's the input, and the external. So for the internal, we have internal hard disks, internal speaker, the CPU, the CD-ROM, RAM, and the motherboard. While for the external hardware, it is also classified into the peripherals and the deficiency. So the example we have are the monitor, projector, keyboard, mouse, light pen, digital pen, webcam, and so on.
We just need 2.
Okay, all right, sir. And then for the software, it is also classified into 2. We have the system software and the application software. So the system software, it is also called the utility software. They are lists of instructions that keep the system functioning. It also consists of several programs which work together. For example, we have the operating system. An example of an operating system, we have the Microsoft Disk operating system and the Windows. Why for the application? Yes. Why for the application system, application software? There are a collection of programs that carry out giving tasks for the users. Example, we have the Microsoft Word, Excel, used for typing and so on. Also, we have communication. Sir?
Thank
Also,
you.
we have the browsers.
That is enough. That is enough. Thank you. happy that the next group you have something to say, yes? Okay, the next group, I think that should be group 6, yes? We're speaking for group 6, room 6. We're speaking for them. Room 7. Room 7. Where are they? And the last room, room 8. If you want to speak, you have to unmute yourself before you speak so that we will hear what you say.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. You are speaking for which room?
Room 8.
Room 8, go ahead.
Example of software, we have keyboard, CPU.
Can you say that again?
Keyboard.
Keyboard is
We
hardware.
have CPU. Yes, example of hardware.
Thank you.
CPU, central processing unit. We have the monitor and also the printer. And also under software, we have examples are operating system such as Microsoft Windows, Office Suite, including Word, Excel, and Power Printer.
What do you use keyboard to do?
For typing.
For inputting text into the computer. And then what do you use the Microsoft Word to do?
Microsoft
Word.
Windows.
What
Yes,
do you do with the Microsoft Word?
We use it so that we can create I don't know that.
You mentioned that. You said Microsoft
I
Office.
mentioned that, but I don't know that one.
Okay, just mention it. Okay, no problem.
And we
okay,
also
my
have
advice is that, listen, my advice for you is that you should listen attentively as the class is going on. And perhaps you can have your notes to write something down. People before you now, they've mentioned Microsoft Word and they have mentioned what we use Microsoft Word to do. Okay,
yes,
so make sure you follow the class with your heart. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, I think that is enough. That is enough activity. Okay,
Good
you want to
morning,
say something? Who is that?
Good morning, sir. I will be speaking on Group 6 members.
Group 6, where were you before when I called Group 6?
The network was bad, sir.
Yes, I'm having a network issue, sir. That's why.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, to example of computer hardware, we have keyboard, we have a printer, we have a monitor. Monitor is used to display information on the screen, while keyboard is used to interact by a human being to interact with a computer through a typing text. An example of computer software is we have a operating system, we have a browsers like Chrome, Internet Explorer, and others.
Thank you very much. And what do you do with the Chrome?
Chrome, we use a Chrome.
You mentioned Google Chrome. Then what do you do with it?
Yes. We are using a Google Chrome to find some information on the internet. It's like a browser. We use it to carry out a research.
Thank you very much. This is a browser. Use it to search for information on the net. Thank you very much. I think that is enough activity. And then you can mute yourself, everybody, to have a continuation of the class. So hardware and software, thank you very much for your contributions. I think You have mentioned almost everything I need to mention here. So that will make my work easier. I will just run through the slides and then we are fine. So for the hardware, consists of physical equipment for creating, manipulating, and storing electronic data. Okay, hardware, your physical equipment for creating, manipulating, and storing data. And they can be classified into, please mute yourself to have a smooth class. Hardware can be classified into external devices, can be classified into external devices. Okay, external devices providing information and instruction. And then, for example, you can have the light pen, the mouse, the joystick, the keyboard, the optical scanner, the webcam, the microphone, and the modem. So the input hardware. Then we can also have the output hardware. This is another category of hardware. So where you can use to transfer information from the CPU to the user, like the display, the CRT, and the LCD, liquid crystal display, the speakers, and the printers. So these are the classification of hardware. I think there are also some, like the storage hardware. So they are used for storing information on your computer, either permanently or temporarily, as the case may be. And the types of this storage hardware for the permanent storage, we have the disk drives, the hard drive, the floppy disk, the memory, like the RAM, the ROM, including solid state RAM, the flash drives, and solid state drives, which are used for storing your information. And then we also have the processing hardware. So remember that for computers, it performs several operations in which these are the basic one. So for the processing hardware, we have the CPU there. We have mentioned about the CPU before, and you may have multiple CPUs, multi-processing or multi-core processor. Some laptops now, when you buy them, you see they have 4 cores, 5 cores. This is all about the processing. Then the arithmetic logic unit, the ALU, and the control unit, these are the components of the processing hardware. Okay, great. Then for the software consists of computerized instructions govern hardware utilization. So without the software, hardware is of no use, just a bunch of plastics and iron. Okay, but with the software, then that will make the computer to work, to be a computer. So 2 main categories of software are the system software and the application software. Okay, somebody mentioned this last time. So the system software, including the operating system like the Windows, the Linux, the Ubuntu, and so on and so forth, Mac. So the operating system. While the utility software, they are like the antivirus, just for you to help your computer to function very well. So they enable the computer to function well. Then for the application software, like programs that do really work for users. So like the Microsoft processor, the spreadsheet, the database management, your CorelDRAW, your Adobe Photoshop, so many applications you guys will have on your phone too. They are all application software, like the games, the app that you use for transaction, or the one that you use for accessing the ABU portal, as the case may be. And then what about the uses of computers? This is where we should dwell on. The uses of computer in the teaching and learning process. This is our area. And now in the next 3 slides, we are going to round up this class, and I'm going to give you more questions for you to think over. So uses of computers in the teaching and learning process. First and foremost, we have computers everywhere. In fact, this is an integral part of our lives. We can hardly deal with computers to the extent that some of you may be querying your parent, your grandparent as well. How do they cope? How do they survive when there were no phones, when there were no communications? When you are communicating with your sister in Lagos and you are in Zaria, you need to write a letter in those days, and the letter will be given to a train, passenger in the train that will take kids to Lagos, which may take a week before your parents can get your letter. After they have read your letter and they want to reply you, that will also take another week or even 2 weeks before they later get to Zaria. So before you can communicate with your parents in the long distance, that means you need at least 2 weeks. But now, look at the situation. Just with your phone now on your bed, even right when the class is going on, you can just pick up your phone and call them. Instantly, you'll be communicating. You can even be seeing them physically by making a video call. So you may be querying, how did they cope in those days when there were no these electronic gadgets? Well, they did. And that's why we are here. So computers are an integral part of our daily life. So in the homes, in the offices, everywhere you find computers, in the automobiles, now in the teaching and learning process. This is our focus. So areas in which we can use computers to our advantage is the kind of online learning. This is exactly what we are doing now. We are having this lesson online. So this allows us to have access resources and complete coursework remotely without having to meet on campus on Saturday morning, when in the next 30 minutes now, some of you will join your other colleagues in the convocation day. Yeah. So we also have this online learning also give us increased accessibility and convenience. Right in my room, right in my home office, I can give you the lesson without any problem. They also have the educational software. This is another area in which we key in. We apply technologies in education. The interactive whiteboard, the programs, we create engaging lessons through the whiteboards. They also have online collaboration, like what you just did, these small activities you just done. You have collaborated online. Even if some of you were in different positions, but now with that small activity you did a collaboration online. You talk about the hardware, you talk about the software and their users. So you can have online collaboration with the technology. They also have multimedia presentation, exactly what you are seeing in front of you. We are projecting and making the course available to you using multimedia. Multimedia in the sense that you combine a lot of things together. You combine text with graphics, with sound, with videos, you see, with even small collaboration like you did. So these are the key areas through which we can apply or we can integrate technologies to our benefit in education. All right. So when you go back to your notes, you will get a lot of areas through which we can apply computers in education, but this is just a brief of what you have here. Now we are getting to the last activity now, which is going to be some questions for you to think over. So you are not going to provide the answers to these questions now. It's not possible, but I'm giving you these questions for you to think of how things can look like. What are the, if after going through the slides, after reading your note, you still cannot attempt these questions, then you need to know that you need to read your note once again. And by the way, I'm going to provide you with these slides. I'm going to give you this slide that questions on the module. I can see some of you have already enrolled in the module. You will find your module 2 now is available. Lesson 2 is available in the module, and this slide will also be pasted on the module maybe later today or tomorrow. Okay, so now let's have the first question. Put everything together. The first question here says, discuss the characteristics that differentiates digital and analog computers. Discuss the characteristics that differentiate digital and analog computers. For you to attempt this question, you need to go back to that table that I showed you about juxtaposition between digital and analog computer. And I said, don't just discuss this, you need to provide examples of scenario where each type might be preferable. So this question is asking you more than just reading the notes. It is asking you to understand and be able to get something out of the note. Number 2, explain the roles of the main component of a computer. Now, this question is very specific because now I have already given you examples of what I want you to explain, their roles. I want you to explain the roles of CPU, memory, storage, motherboard, and then power supply. So if it's an exam or a test and you're given this type of question and you're explaining input and output devices, then you are wrong. Because the question has specified what components of the computer you are to explain their roles. How do these components work together in a computer system? Okay. Number 3, explore how computers are used in the teaching and learning process. This type of question, I will not give you an exam or test. I will be more specific in an exam. If it's an exam or a test, I will just ask you, explore 5 ways through which computers are used in the teaching and learning process. Explore 3 ways through which computers are used in the teaching and learning process. So when I say explore how computers are used in the teaching and learning process, it will create a kind of ambiguity for you because you may not know. Am I asking for 2 or 3 ways or 4 ways or 5 ways, or I want you to write the whole of the booklet? Okay, so that is why this type of question, I don't give this type of question. I would rather specify so that things will be clear and you will be able to know whether you have met up with the expectation of the question or not. Speed, memory, accuracy, versatility, automation, diligence, and connectivity. This is a typical example. A typical question I can ask you in an exam. Because now I've specified the characteristics I want you to explain, to examine. I've specified the characteristics I want you to examine, but maybe too much for a test or an exam. Because now I can see word length 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can see 8, maybe maximum of 4 in an exam, not 8. Okay, take note. Number 5 says, dive deeper into the hardware component of computers. This is just an introduction to the question in my exam or in my test. But the main question is, explain the functions of input hardware, output hardware, storage hardware, and processing hardware. This is a part of the question, part A of the question. How do these components contribute to the overall functionality of a computer system? Another part of the question. So when you see this question, you're having 3 sentences there. The first sentence is just an introduction to the question, nothing to do. While the second sentence is asking you of something. And the third sentence is asking you to do something. The last question we consider today is, discuss the significance of software in the realm of computers. Discuss. When you have to discuss, you have to write a note. Discuss here means you will tell us what software is. You will give examples of software. Then you give what the significance of this software. But I'm also going to help you in this question by asking you differentiate between system software and application software, providing examples of each. So the last sentence here is to explain the first sentence. Maybe this question is too simple for an exam. I only put the first sentence, discuss. So it is for you to now know that when you are discussing, you need to differentiate between software, system software, and application software, and you need to provide examples of this. Is it okay, everybody? So let me give you 1 minute. Then after that, we stop the presentation and see if we can make some other interactions before we close for the day. Okay, let me give you 1 minute to look at this. Okay, thank you. I think now we can stop this presentation, and then let's have a full house. So if you like now, you can turn your video. It is your choice, and this is the time now to ask your questions and to make a little interaction before we close for the day. And I can stop recording.